Hey guys, welcome back to the Ghost and Friends YouTube channel. Fourth show today. I promise I will get off of the screen soon and let you guys live in peace. Welcome, Brandie's back. It's time for kind of change the name a little bit without even talking to Brandie. It's now Brandie and Ghost college football. That's what we're rocking. How are we doing, Brandie?
Doing good. Didn't have the best week last week, but it probably could have been way worse. But other than that, I feel like this college football season has been really, really fun, and we're just a little bit over halfway through it. So, yeah.
It's sad to hear you say that, as we are in week 8. I can remember when we were starting this show in week 2, and it has flown by. It doesn't feel like we've already had this will be our 7th show. It doesn't feel like that's a reality, but here we are. And let's go ahead and recap our last week. You talked about it wasn't our best week. Definitely could have been worse. I'll let you start. You can recap your 5. I'll get into my 5, and then we'll do our overall records and all that fun stuff.
Awesome. I went 2-3 last week, and then my lean did cash, but can't really take credit for that. So I'll get into my 3 losses. Eastern Michigan was a horrible bet. They almost came back and made it a close game there. I was keeping up with that, and the score looks worse than what the game actually showed. But yeah, that was just a bad bet there. I hand up for that one. Oregon, Ohio State. I had Ohio State minus 3.5 in that game. I actually came away from that game super impressed with Oregon, and specifically their defense. I hadn't been that impressed all year with just Oregon in general. I thought they got off to a slow start and had been really impressed with Ohio State. And that game, the ending, if you guys watched the ending to that game, that was extremely frustrating, especially as an Ohio State bettor for Will Howard just sliding on the ground. But what a great game plan Dan Lanning had, an in-game decision there at the end. So hat tip to him. And then my other loss was on my card last week. It was West Virginia team total. That did not hit the over at all. I thought this game was going to be more of a shootout because I really liked West Virginia's offensive matchup with kind of the lack of defense that Iowa State had, but they just couldn't get it going, turn the ball over a little bit. So yeah, but on to the 2 wins that I did have. LSU plus 3.5, won outright in Death Valley. That was an exciting and thrilling end. Did not think that they were going to end up winning that game outright with the way that it was going, but really Lane Kiffin just gave that game away to LSU. Yeah, I think Ole Miss is a little bit of a pretender there, and LSU also might be a pretender, so we'll see how they do this weekend against Arkansas. Then my other win was Colorado plus 3.5 against Kansas State. That was also a crazy game. I really kind of still like this Colorado team a little bit more than some other people might like them. So yeah, that was a crazy ending to that game as well. Travis Hunter got a little banged up in that game and had to leave. There was questionable calls and no calls made, but I'll take the cover all day long. So, and then on Friday night, Arizona State plus 6.5 was my lean, and that hit as well, and they won outright. So Kenny Dillingham has the Forks fired up.
Forks up. Kyle, thanks for checking here. Checking in, brother. Eddie, have a good night. I hope you, whatever game you're playing, I hope you're blessed and that you defeat everybody. And hopefully it's not Reagan. So, Jordan, hey, my man, Ed Harris, welcome to the show, my man. Brandie and I have been doing what you're here adds a little bit of pressure to this show. Ingrid checking in. Glad to meet you last night up at the State Fair. And let's see here. You did have LSU and hey, there you go. Brandie had LSU last week. I had Ole Miss. I had Oregon. Brandie had Ohio State. So we were a little bit all over that one. And we've got $1 million wager confirmed.
Glad you picked the winners.
Lock it in. And there's no way Eddie has forgotten any of you guys. I guarantee you that. Deep down, he knows. He just has to be a proper leader. He can't show you too much, preferred treatment there, Kyle. He's got to be fair. It's just all it is. And that's what a good Bart Army leader does. But appreciate you guys being here. Brandie said she went 2-3. Really was borderline rooting for you, Brandie. I had Oregon in the pick'em, but I was like, for the show, we need Ohio State to find a way right here, break a big play. That would be cool. But yeah, shout out Dan Lanning and the Ducks. Massive win up in Eugene for those guys. And yeah, they look really, really good. But so 2-3 for Brandie. I had a 3-2 week. I had USC +5, blew a 2-touchdown lead against Penn State at home, lost that game in overtime after a missed field goal in the opening possession. I was a little worried, and this is just the degenerate in me, Brandie. I knew the result of that game, and Sunday morning when I wake up with a very, very, very over from the state fair, I go back and I'm catching up on all things college football from Saturday, and I'm watching the highlights, and it gets to overtime, and I see USC miss a kick, and I'm like, what if Penn State scores here and USC doesn't cover? But I even know the result. It's just I got caught up in the moment, and I was like, oh, God, I don't give up a touchdown right now. But, yeah, shout out USC. The +5, minus 22.5. They played good football in the first half. It looked like there's a chance that they could dang, is it really that bad, Kyle? Something about my streams lately, late at night, have not been great. But
yeah, you're a little blurry on my side too.
Am I really? Okay. It happened one show last week. I'm going to blame all of my children probably running by down right now. But, so, yeah, USC +5. Sorry, Illinois minus 22.5. A solid first half for them. And then Purdue scores 40 second half points. 40. Did not think that was a score. It texted me about it. Said that that Illinois won in overtime. And so I'm like, okay, what was this? This is like a 17-14 game. No, it's 49. And if you would have said Purdue scored 49 on anyone, you could even give them back-to-back weeks. The combined, I just didn't see it happening. And so, yeah, shout out to Illinois for letting me down there in that second half. And, yeah, so moving on, Iowa and Wisconsin. This was probably the best play that I had of the week. Over 42, cash pretty easily there. A lot of points up there. Kansas State and Colorado. We'll do that one last. I had Florida +14.5 before that one. An easy cover for the Gators at Neyland Stadium. They showed up.
They should have won.
To win that. Yeah, had a chance to win that game. Right. Yeah, shout out to Billy Napier and the Florida team. Not conceding, and even though it's been tough, and finding a way to cover for us there. And then my last game, Kansas State at Colorado, had the under 55.5. This one hurt a little bit because there was kind of a very late flare points. I was kind of already banking on this being a win. You know how college football goes. Anything can happen, but I felt really, really good there with like 5 minutes to play. And then all of a sudden we were cooked. And so, yeah, 3-2 week. Any of these games until I got out of the Texas-Oklahoma game and got my internet back, which appears still isn't fully back. But, yeah, I was very happy to go out and have a winning card. And yeah, so a 3-2 week for me, 2-3 week for Brandie. That brings our two totals. So Brandie is 14-10 overall. I am now 15-10. Brandie's had a couple of pushes there, or a push. And then we are 29-20 overall. So flirting was 60%. I think kind of the year-end goal for us is 60%. That's going to be pretty strong out there when it talks about handicapping. And so, hey, it's all a grind. It's all a process. We're never telling you guys like, hey, load up on this, load up on that. Just trust each pick week by week, and we're just trying to come out on the good side in the end, and we're doing a good job. So have a little trust in us here. We're gonna see what we can do for you. Brandie, if you don't mind, go ahead and talk to me. What's the first play that you have, sweetie?
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and start off with a team that is having a historical season so far and has been covering, and I think they're going to keep it rolling this weekend. That's Army minus 15.5 against ECU, East Carolina. So Army 6-0. They're still running the options. I know that choose clock, and when people see these long lines with Army this season, they're like, that's kind of scary, but this Army offense is really good this year. They have a lot of depth on their team. they have two solid wide receivers in Casey Reynolds and Noah Short. But really, I like their running back, Kanye Uda, and, their QB can run the ball as they always can in that Army offense. And so ECU's defense really struggles against the run too. And even though Army hasn't really played anybody from like a defensive opponent perspective, this is still a really bad defense that ECU has. So I'm really kind of not making two plays here, but really Army's been really good against the spread. They've been strong. Their offense has been strong, but ECU had like a team meeting this week. Like they're really not doing great. They're kind of reeling, and I think Army's just going to keep it pushing against them. So I really like Army this week, really like Army in the grand scheme of college football this season in general too. So Army minus 15.5 is my first play of the week.
I like it. Army should absolutely run through the Pirates. Like you said, when you're week 8 and you're already having the big player-led meetings or team meetings, that those are happening because things are not going well, and so I know a lot of times people are like, okay, as a fan, it's very easy to be like, yeah, like they're worried now, they're focused, we're back together. It doesn't always work. It can be very, very tough get right game for ECU when they've got Army. I like Army minus 15.5. That was one of my favorite plays that Brandie had on her card this week. Great choice. Open the card. I myself am trusting a team that has one win on the season so far out in Los Angeles, the UCLA Bruins. They traveled to Piscataway, long road trip. UCLA's played some pretty decent opponents lately, have looked better than I thought they would. They played some pretty good football in spurts. We're going to trust them in 5 points at Rutgers, who is really, really struggling to stop the run. 17th out of 18th in the Big Ten against the run. And like I said, I like what UCLA has actually done on defense here recently. Deshaun Foster, obviously, former player for the Bruins. There's a lot of pride for the program. So I think that even though, with the one win, the really rough start to the season, I don't think you see any type of folding or quitting or anything from those guys there. I think he'll know how to keep everybody going. But yeah, I mean, Rutgers have been a one-man show with Kyle Monungai. Kind of struggled lately to move the ball and just got blistered last weekend. Or was that 2 weeks ago with Wisconsin?
This past weekend, yeah.
Okay. Oh, sorry, my weeks are running together. Saturday was a very long day for me. But, yeah, I think we see a somewhat of a low-scoring game because it's not like UCLA is just loaded offensively with fire. They have been running the football pretty well. I like UCLA to get inside the 5 points. Rutgers by 3 at most. Could definitely see UCLA winning this game. What are your thoughts, Brandie?
Yeah, I just don't think Rutgers has the firepower to cover 5.5, really. We were both on Wisconsin last week against Rutgers, and we like this Rutgers team going into the season, but ever since that Nebraska game, I feel like they just haven't been able to move the ball, and UCLA can move the ball. Like we saw them move the ball against LSU. We saw them move the ball against Penn State. So like they can, and it's possible. So I like it. I can definitely get behind that.
Let's go Bruins. I've kind of faded the Bruins a couple times early in the year. Took it against them, lost with Oregon, and then one other opponent. Oh, Penn State. Yeah, when Penn State decided to not play any offense whatsoever. So the first 2 plays that we have so far, I have UCLA plus 5.5. Brandie has Army minus 15.5. What do you have as your second play, Brandie?
I'm going another long spread here against a team that's also kind of reeling. I'm going South Florida minus 13.5 against UAB. I don't know if Trent Dilfer is going to have a job after this weekend. UAB is definitely kind of down in the dumps, low morale. They got killed by Army this past weekend. They gave up 515 yards to them this past weekend in total. And their run defense is just awful. It's like 126th in the country or down there. So it's pretty bad. And USF has a mobile quarterback in Byron Brown. So I like USF a lot here in this spot. And I'm mainly fading a team that's reeling in UAB. Their defense is just so bad. And I think South Florida's offense is competent enough to cover a 2-touchdown spread here. Fading UAB and taking South Florida.
I like it. You'll notice a little trend here recently on this channel. We've identified really bad teams that are really, really struggling and are trying to fade when necessary. And UAB is the definition of a team that is in the mud. And so I like it. That's why I'll personally play. South Florida minus 13.5 against UAB, who isn't doing much of anything right at the moment. So big
On
fan,
either
good
side
play,
of the
Brandie.
ball.
Yeah, that's the thing. Special teams, not either, and so that's a good one. And so going on, let's see. Second play, we have West Virginia +3. Now, this is something West Virginia burned us last week on the channel. Brandie had the over 26.5 team total. I personally tailed that one. I thought they'd score some points on Iowa State. I really did. I thought they moved the running the ball really, really well. Jaheim White, CJ Donaldson, Garrett Green obviously is good with his feet. He just has to stop turning the ball over, and that's what held them back there in that Iowa State game. Both of his picks led to 14 points for the Cyclones, and so a big spot here, a bet game, because they have a good opponent coming to town. Can't sit there and feel sorry for yourself losing at home to top 11 Iowa State, because now here comes Kansas State, here comes Avery Johnson, DJ Giddens. A big opponent, and I think the Mountaineers show up in Morgantown. I'm still not convinced about Avery Johnson as a. I know he's looked okay. Big time pass against Colorado to win that game. Brandie could have hit that guy. He was wide open like that. I mean, I'm just saying that was a throw make, and I'm not doubting Avery Johnson's skills. I'm just saying they might not be fully refined yet. And so, long story short, West Virginia +3. I'm going to have West Virginia to go ahead and win this game outright. Take down K-State. Big win up in Moretown for the Mountaineers. Brandie, how crazy is that?
It's crazy, but I don't hate it because I expected a little bit more last week. Obviously, out of West Virginia, didn't get it, but I still think that they have it there. And all you have to do is take away Avery Johnson's ability to run, and you can shut down this Kansas State offense. So I wouldn't be surprised if West Virginia's defensive line does that. They're not that great in their secondary, but I don't really think that matters against Avery Johnson. So I like it.
We'll see if it would be like a little bit a poker term, but a little bit of flop leg, because considering you had the over 26.5, if they show up this week, I will feel a little bit bad, but I hope that you tell and that we win together on this. So go Mountaineers +3. So real quick, just kind of try to recap our plays kind of as we go so that you can keep up with them. Brandie is on South Florida minus 13.5. I have a couple of underdogs, the UCLA Bruins +5 up in Rutgers, and then West Virginia at home +3 against Kansas State. What are we looking at for play number 3, Brandie? You're getting some love in the comments here. I don't know if you saw that.
Oh, thank you. Also, Kyle, I'm drinking a sugar-free Red Bull tonight.
You're stiller than I, so.
Okay, I'll get some underdogs in here cooking since I gave 2 favorites out. I'm going with Arizona State +5.5. This line has moved a little bit because we got some injury news that Arizona State's starting quarterback, Sam Leavitt's out. He did play in the second half against Utah after getting banged up in that first half, but he's now been rolled out for the game this weekend, which means that Jeff is starting for Arizona State. And if you know where he came from, he was not very good last year. So he threw a lot of interceptions when he was at Nebraska, and he just doesn't have a good rap necessarily. But he did play a little bit in the Friday night game, and I watched him, and he really didn't look that bad. And Kenny Dillingham did a really good job of getting the ball to the best player on the team once his quarterback went out, and that is their running back, Scattaboo. And I think that Scattaboo will provide enough offensive firepower for this Arizona State team to potentially win outright against Cincinnati, because I don't think that Cincinnati's a good team. And they're giving up 200 yards per game on the ground to running backs that are not as good as Scattaboo, because Scattaboo is a top 5 running back in the country, in my opinion. So that UCF-Cincy game that happened last weekend, it was a really close game, not high scoring at all. And Kenny Dillingham, I think, is going to really throw the kitchen sink at this game because he wants to win this game. He wants to keep kind of the momentum rolling for his team. He's fired up. This team is a lot better than what everybody was projecting them to be. And most people will be like, well, this sounds like a perfect spot to take Cincy with the starting quarterback out of a team that's due for a loss. But not every team has Kenny Dillingham at the helm. So I really like this Arizona State team. They've done really well for me covering this season, and I like them in the underdog role. I don't think Cincinnati, Ohio is that far of a place to travel from Arizona State, and they have an extra day since their game was on Friday last week. So I'm taking the Forks plus 5.5.
I love it. I'll comment further in one moment. Hey, definitely wasn't trying to throw any shade, buddy. Your comment was funny, and I really appreciate the kind words. So you're good, man. We like to post almost every comment on the screen as long as it's within bounds. And so, yeah, dude, I don't think that you said anything out of line. Just a little compliment.
No.
Brandie could take it.
Yeah, of course. We're glad you're tuning in.
And so, yeah, absolutely, man. Thanks for being here, guys. And with that being said, please go like this video. It's right there, easy to do, free, takes 2 seconds. Showing you some love. We're trying to get this segment. We're 29-20. I mean, almost 60% in sports betting. I know it doesn't sound like much. It's pretty elite. And so just like the video, show her some love, and let's keep rolling. But yeah, I think that oh Lord, I shouldn't have even mentioned anything like this. Let me just say this, that Eddie comes in the comments every single week, Kyle, and we haven't had to kick him out or hide any comments or anything of that nature. So I'll just say that, we're pretty chill. But no, Coach Dillingham and the Sun Devils is a team that we've had multiple weeks on this, or talked about multiple weeks on this channel, a couple times bet against, several times trusting these guys. A lot of love for that program right now. They're exciting to watch. Sam Levitt, I hate to see him miss this game. He was balling. A lot of fun. Dillingham's fiery. He's an easy coach to root for. A lot of energy there. And then when you have a running back named Cam Scattaboo, who looks like modern day like Mike Allstott back. I know that's probably too old for you, Brandie. I apologize. But
I have no idea who that is.
That hurts my heart a little bit. No, he played tailback, fullback for the Buccaneers 25 years ago, and good luck stopping him. Go catch a highlight. You'll be like, okay. But yeah, and so Cam's a little faster, not as big, but he's a lot of fun to watch. And so I like Arizona State in this game. I liked them before Brandie kind of mentioned that she was going to take them. It's just he put a lot of eggs in the deep basket, I think, Dillingham will. I think he'll sell out. He'll really do everything in this game to help his defense out, because Cincinnati can score just a little bit. But whether it be, maybe we're 4th and 3 at the 40, you're letting it rip with Sam Lett, and, maybe he punts now, sets the defense up. He'll really try to clock. I think they find a way to stay inside that number. And like Brandie said, there's a chance they win this game. They're a better football team with Levitt than Cincinnati is. And this is kind of a next man up. I know it's Jeff Sims. I know. I know. It's hard to at times. That Nebraska team last year, especially the Colorado game in particular, where we couldn't even field a snap.
Ooh.
Tough.
But
tough to put your money on that.
If you watch Jeff Sims in this offense, they really did try to give the ball to Scattaboo a lot more and tried to run it and play more conservative in the air with him, because I think Kenny Dillingham knows how bad Jeff Sims is. But honestly, though, Arizona State's you mentioning their defense has played with a lot of effort this season. They came away with some takeaways in the game this past week too. So, yeah, I really like this Arizona State team. I hope they can keep it rolling for me.
I've been a fan. Fun to watch. I wish Texas State would have beat them, but other than that, they've done us really, really well. Get to Texas and Georgia after we give out all our picks. We do not play on the card for the Texas and Georgia game, but our opinions and what we would take if. And the closer we get to the game, the more likely I am to just say, hey, put a little something on this. Texas covers easily. We will get to Texas, Indiana by 90.
That was a play we talked about.
We talked about it. Coach Sig and the boys doing their things, and yeah, go Hoosiers. Really happy for the Hoosiers. But all right, so Brandie's third play, Arizona State plus 5.5, and I will say my third play. We're going back to Colorado. Last week they burned us on the under when we had under 55.5, some late points, but a lot of injuries in the secondary. Sorry, a lot of injuries in the Arizona secondary. And then Shadur, and trusting that he will find some points, has me with the over 8 in this game. You've got Noah Fafita versus Shadur Sanders. Really, really fun on paper. Some injury Colorado wide receiver for Colorado. I think they're going to be without 2 different receivers, but Jimmy Horn is supposed to play. So crazy because I used to talk about his dad like 25 years ago. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry at the Wi-Fi. I really am sorry. And that's what it's probably the neighbors. I'm going to blame everything on the neighbors over there. But
yeah.
I hope that you can at least hear me all right. But
yes, we can.
Yes. Okay, good. That makes me feel a little better. But Colorado and Arizona over 58. McMillan is a very big problem. I know that Travis Hunter will probably shadow him a lot of the evening, but at the same time, Travis Hunter plays both ways. He's going to have to be there offensively for Colorado because they are without a couple of receivers. And he normally gets his anyways, talking about McMillan and obviously Travis Hunter too. But yeah, I think both teams in the 30. I had this game 34-31, which puts us almost a touchdown over the total. And so, yeah, that's my third play. I really see a lot of points. Won't be the last time you hear one of these teams talked about on our card tonight. I'll say that.
Yeah. I like the over in this game. I think it's kind of going to be a shootout because Arizona's defense has been a little underwhelming this year. And obviously we saw how Shiloh did on defense this past weekend against Kansas State.
Oh, no.
We can just go into my next play if we want then, because I have Colorado on my card as well. I'm taking Colorado plus 3.5 against Arizona. Like you mentioned, Dion said Travis Hunter's going to play. Jimmy Horn's going to play. And I think that against this Arizona defense, I think Shadur is going to have enough time to throw the ball. And I think this is probably the third time I've given out Colorado on this channel, and they've done me well. I've been 2-0 in games have bet on Colorado, and that's been really nice to see because that team has gotten a lot of hate because of the publicity around Dion and stuff. But this Arizona team is kind of underwhelming compared to what the expectations were going into the season. And a lot of Fafita's passes seem really forced this year. And he really, truly does only have one target, and that's T-Mac. And so if Travis Hunter is playing, so he is going to be the one that's going to be on T-Mac. I'm curious to see how much they play him on offense since T-Mac is like so good. I mean, we really are going to see two, I think, like top 10, top 20 NFL draft prospects going up against each other in this game. So I really like Colorado here. I think that Arizona just has been too underwhelming for me this season, especially on the defensive side of the ball. I was impressed with their defense last year, and I feel like they've taken a step back this year. A little worried about it being in the desert. There's always that weird desert voodoo that they talk about in Tucson. But really, I think that with Fafita's regression year over year and just the defensive regression year over year with Arizona, I mean, this Colorado team that was worse last year played well against Arizona, a better Arizona team last year. So,
True.
Yeah, so I'm taking the Buffs here plus 3.5 again.
I think 3.5 is a key number here. It's going to be a close game. Like, it's going to be a good game. Could easily be by a field goal, which still puts us inside of that number either way. And so I was one of the people, Brandie, who probably unnecessarily threw a little shade it's just on. It's not at the kids. It's just the way he handles himself. And I will say that it is good to see Colorado playing some better football. It is. They're not laying down. They're showing up. Shadur is a really good player. It's good. So let's go. Buffs plus 3.5. That is Brandie's fourth play. Kyle, I've thought about this for about 90 seconds since you posted it, and I am going to put it at 11.5. I think you have a dozen in you. It's a late kickoff, but at the same time, I know that you're going to have bourbon as well, and I don't know where that all goes. So 11.5. You tell me the odds as far as, or the juice on each side. What would you put the juice on the over and then on the under? Curious to hear what you say there. But good for you, Kyle. Had a pretty good week with the books. But play number 4, and I hate that Kyle's here to hear me say this, but it is the Texas A&M Aggies. I have Texas A&M absolutely shithousing Mississippi State. I think they run right through them. A&M coming off a bye week. Mississippi State coming off games against Texas and Georgia teams. Michael Van Buren scored some points there, or led some points there in the second half. But if you watch that game, Kirby Smart is kind of tinkering around, putting his guys in some weird spots. I think trying to figure out, kind of where they're at, who he can trust this weekend coming down to Austin for that big one. And so, I like, buddy, if the over is minus 125, the under is going to be like plus what would it be, like even, right?
Probably even like minus 108 or
Yeah, it'd be
something like that.
minus. Yeah.
When
So it's okay,
yeah.
Kyle. I'm taking that over, baby. Minus 125. You can't scare me off. But yeah, Texas A&M. I think Connor was really good in his last game. Run game looked a lot better. You've had another week with a new offensive line coach, with a inexperienced offensive line to work together, to gel together. They want to run the ball. Math is hard. We agree with you there. But yeah, I don't think that Mississippi State's going to do a lot as far offensively in this game. They cannot throw the ball to test an A&M secondary that's been pretty good. Will Lee's a really good cornerback, and you're kind of playing 10 on 10 out when he's on the field, at least with the personnel that Mississippi State is going to trot out. But I have this one, A&M winning 34-10. That's an easy cover. I know that Mississippi State scored 31 last week, but again, that was kind of late, and Georgia kind of just experimenting a little bit. Brandie, do you think A&M can cover that big number?
Yeah, I do like it. I think Mississippi State's really bad. The fact that they made it a game against Georgia, I think Georgia kind of laid off the gas. They were looking forward to the Texas game this weekend. And honestly, Georgia's defensive front has been a little underwhelming, but I don't think that same can be said about Texas A&M's defensive front. I really like their defensive line this year. Yeah, I like it. I mean, I think Mississippi State sucks, so always down to bet against them.
Yeah, they're not very good. And once again, you notice the trend of us fading some pretty bad teams. Mississippi State coming off covers versus Texas, a cover versus Georgia. I can see people saying, oh, yeah, 15.5 it's a good couple touchdowns against the Aggies. Hey, we'll get in there. I think A&M shows up, plays really, really, really well. But if there is a game on the card, look at him. My man. Billy Lucci checking in. About the connection issues, Billy, it will not be a problem on Friday. I promise you that, my man. I hope you heard the Texas A&M minus 15 pick. Feel good about it.
Billy, you're coming to Nashville this weekend?
He says he is.
Yeah. That's awesome.
You're getting like the celebrity guest list back-to-back weeks. You get Billy, then you get Eddie. Like, that's pretty impressive there.
I know. And Reagan and you and, the whole squad.
Okay, I'll take it. We need A&M to go undefeated until we whoop them in our state, but they're home field. About thinking, just the thought of that, it's going to be wild. A&M definitely has a shot to go undefeated. They don't lose this weekend. Next weekend with LSU will be a big one. But the fact that LSU is coming off games versus Ole Miss and then what should be a tough game versus Arkansas, I give A&M a pretty good advantage next weekend to Kyle Field. But 2 more plays to give out, Brandie. What do you have?
Ooh, I have 2 more plays? No, I have 1 more play. You have 1 more play and I have 1 more, right?
2 total. My bad. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So yeah, this is going to be a team I haven't actually bet on them this season. I've picked against them a couple of times and pick them in. And now I'm kind of like convinced that they actually might be a little bit better than what I originally thought. I'm going Texas Tech minus 6.5 this weekend at home against Baylor. Both these teams are coming off a bye this weekend. And I think Baylor is just somehow they've gotten like worse week over week, especially defensively. They're on a 5-game losing streak. They're really just, the blood is bleeding for this team. That's kind of been my trend this week, is betting against teams that have just been outright reeling and continue to lose and don't show any improvements and have consistently gotten worse. So that's kind of what I'm doing here too. Also, I don't know who is going to be able to stop Taj Brooks on that Baylor defensive front. Really, I think this is going to come to a shootout, like a good old-fashioned Big 12 shootout, high-scoring game. And, Texas Tech sneakily has a top 20 scoring offense in the country. And so I really like this Texas Tech offensive team against a pretty shitty Baylor defense. And, Texas Tech's defense isn't that great, but there's nothing to write home about on Baylor on the offensive side of the ball. So I think they could easily cover 1 touchdown at home, hoping they don't lay off the gas if it gets ugly.
Brandie is pulling on the heartstrings. She brought up the Texas Tech Red Raiders. You guys know how about that. We've had a lot of trust in Texas Tech on this channel, top 20 scoring offense, an offensive line that is finally healthy. The wide receiver transfers that they got through the portal are all playing well. Taj Brooks is that guy, and Baron Morton has had a field day to throw these last couple of weeks. Defense getting a lot. We need an answer, Brandie. I'm just kidding. You got to get in line, Kyle.
Like I'm hosting like 3 Texas fans in my 500 square foot condo next weekend when Texas comes to town against Vandy. So yeah, it's gonna be fun. I'm really excited.
Yeah, I mean, the Texas and Vandy game is looking so much more tempting to watch, than it would have 3 or 4 months ago. Right now, I am a closet Texas Tech fan, closet Texas Tech fan, Kyle, and you're half of the reason why, my friend. I need Texas Tech to come through on this Big 12 championship prediction. I need them to continue winning for Brandie and I, and they've done so. They've come through. And like I said, I could talk about Tech all day. I know just as much about Tech right now as I do anybody else that's not Texas. And I feel very, very good about Brandie's our chances about them covering that spread versus Baylor. Baylor and David Veranda, I'm not convinced David Veranda even wants to be there. That thing is all a mess, and I do know that Baylor has their eyes on their young coach in college football. I don't know how fast that whole moves or if it's down the line. You're back. Are you talking to yourself here, man? I'm just kidding. We should have our guest picker be Durag next week. You can come in anonymously.
Durag, you missed it. Ghost just gave out a Texas A&M pick this week. So,
why'd you tell him that? Oh no. Durag, I will do anything to jinx the Aggies, even if it's put my own money on them or suggest my friends put their own money on them. But yeah, we've got Texas Tech minus 6.5 on the card. We've got Texas A&M minus 15 on the card. You got to love that, right? So, no. Anytime someone's picking against Baylor, I'm all down to tell about it. Kyle, you sent me that 2 weeks of your 2 weeks of. I don't want to do that to you, man. You know what you sent me. Okay, keep getting high with the books and recover, and we'll talk about getting you on here, my man. But Texas Tech 12, I just really think Tech had a chance. I thought Utah was overrated. I don't trust Cam Rising's health. Look how that has played out. Not trying to boost or anything. I'm just explaining why I picked Tech. And what else do we have here? Tech overs have fed some families. There's been a lot of points in a couple of Tech games. Just betting Tech right now is feeding families. They're playing good. But all right, so Brandie's 5 picks. I'll give out my last one in just a moment. Brandie's 5 picks are at Arizona State plus 5.5, Army minus 15.5, South Florida minus 13.5, Colorado plus 3.5. Kyle, I had to do it. I'm so sorry, man. I love you. Last pick, the Texas Red Raiders minus 6.5. Brandie's got 5 strong plays. I like that. I'm going to give out my 4 that I have. I'll lead into my 5th one. UCLA plus 5, West Virginia plus 3, Colorado, Arizona over 58. We need to see Colorado win that one 70-0. Make it easy on Brandie and I. Texas A&M minus 15. And then my last play, Illinois plus 3 plus 3.5. I don't know what the hell the second half was last week. No idea. You give up 40 to Purdue. You win the game, though. But I guarantee you that defense went through hell this week as far as practice or has gone through hell. They're a good football team. I mean, not a great football team. But, yeah, that type of showing in the second half, I'm sure they're working on a lot of corrections. A lot of things went wrong. Plus, I just don't trust them. I don't trust Michigan as a favorite over decent teams. But to have 3.5 and once again, to have that key number of 3.5 and being able to stay inside it with just a field goal game one way or the other, I like them. I like Illinois. I like that they don't turn the ball over. They obviously scored the ball well last week. But at the same time, seeing that they gave up 40 to Purdue, it does feel a little bit dirty. What are you thinking on this play, Brandie?
I don't hate it. I don't really know what to think of this Illinois team in general. They play up to their competition, though, and down to their competition. Like, every time they play, I feel like. So I really don't hate it. And after that Michigan-Washington game, I'm like an official Michigan hater this season too. So they have a running back at quarterback, and I don't like backing teams anymore that have a running back at quarterback that can't make anything happen. So I think this Michigan defense, though, is still pretty decent. Like, I don't feel like there's a ton of drop off from the strong defense that they had last year. So maybe, they can give Luke a little bit of fits there, but Luke has been pretty decent. So really, it's the Illinois defense I'd be more worried about. So I actually don't mind this, especially with Illinois being at home.
That's the only reason that this plays in the cards. Yeah, if it was not in Champaign, Illinois, I would not be taking this game.
Hey,
Definitely.
that's why I took LSU last week, and it worked out. So sometimes the cards fall that way. So
yep. I think, it's an easy game for that campus, that city to really get up for. And it's not like you lost a game last week where, it could be like a letdown situation as far as the crowd not as loud. You still won the game. Anything is still on the table for this Illinois team, at least in their eyes. And so I think we see a spirited effort, at least to get inside the 3.5. They could barely win that game. So, yeah, you've got our 10 plays. We've got a couple leans for you. Brandie, what do you have?
Yeah, I had a couple plays debating back and forth on which one to give out as my lean. I think I'm going to land, though, on an underdog pick'em kind of role here. I'm going with Florida plus 1.5 at home against Kentucky. I know that Graham Mertz is out for the season, and he did really well moving the ball against that Tennessee defense this weekend. And that's probably a loss there since he's a veteran player for them. But I like DJ. I like him, and I like him a lot. I think he did really well on the road as a freshman this weekend against a top defense. And I actually was kind of impressed with Florida's defense / unimpressed with Tennessee's offense this past weekend. And I don't know, Mark Stoops just after a bye lost at home to Vanderbilt. And I know this Vanderbilt team is a lot better than the Vanderbilt teams that we've seen in the past, but Diego was kind of playing a little bit banged up the second half of that game. And their defense kind of just like unimpressed me compared to how I kind of thought the UK's defense was at the beginning of the year. So Billy's also fighting for his job right now too. I don't know. I'm just not that impressed with this Kentucky team at all. And I think this Florida team just in both sides of the trenches has a lot more talent than this Kentucky team does. And while, there's a little bit of question marks at coaching and some of the decisions that Billy has made in games, at the end of the day, I just think this Florida team is better than this Kentucky team. They're more talented, and I think DJ is going to have a nice little freshman breakout game in this opportunity he's been given.
Yeah, no, I like it. I like that DJ gets his shot. Hey, Nash, please don't judge my video quality tonight, sir. I like it. I don't think that Kentucky has much going for them whatsoever. He does know ball indeed. I will say that she is still the leader of our 56-person pick'em, and comfortably so, no matter what she says. But yeah, I like it. I really do. Florida, DJ Legway, he finally gets a shot. The offense is his. I know there's got to be a lot of people excited to finally let him go. And how does how does Florida or Kentucky score points? Like, I can't see them scoring much. Florida, I think Lagway will be enough to take it, Nash. I think Florida will do enough. I'm with you. That's a play that I'd probably take without you. I like Florida this week. Gosh, y'all are ripping me alive on the audio or the video quality.
You're
Makes it
cooked.
fun. I'm getting cooked. It's all my own fault. I deserve it. This is my lane right here. I don't like, and I'm fading to fades in the last 3 weeks for me, or no, 3 fades in the last 4 weeks for me. I think that Alabama, who, yes, they've struggled with Vanderbilt, lost that football game, struggled with South Carolina, maybe should have lost that football game. Depends on who you ask. But
should have.
This is where that secondary that's struggling really badly for Alabama. I just don't know if Nico Iamaleava is ready to expose that secondary. It seems like that offense is really, really struggling. He gets just lost in progression. If he can't throw it to the first read, who the play is kind of designed to. That's what's so good about the Heupel system is his first reads are normally there a lot of times. They don't really take a lot of shots down the field, not that they complete. And once he moves off his first read, it's kind of just like head down. And I'm not saying he panics. He will figure it out. He's a young quarterback playing in the toughest conference in college football. But right now, even at home with Neyland Stadium, battle of the quarterbacks here, I like Jalen Milroe's game a lot more than I like Nico's at the moment. And Alabama's got to be inspired to play some better football, right? You would think so.
Yeah. This game is a hard one. The Auburn in me wants to say Tennessee comes out and wins this game, but I kind of think that I'm with you there. I just can't get past how kind of unimpressive this Tennessee offensive line has been. I feel like that's where their main issue is. It's not that Nico has been like really bad or like Dylan Sampson's been pretty good. Their receivers have been fine, but really it's like their offensive line has like some true issues that they need to fix in order to get that offense back on track. And I don't think that happens like in just like a quick little week. I do still really, really like this Tennessee defense. And I think the Tennessee defense is good. So I'm interested to see how Milroe does against them, because Ryan Williams was kind of silent against a good South Carolina defense. So curious to kind of see how Tennessee comes, or how Alabama's offense comes out there against that Tennessee defense. I think I got to lean with you here, though. I like it. Unfortunately, I think Bama wins this one and covers.
I'm faded Tennessee. I can't help it right now. Nash has a thank you for letting you be the 70th person to bunk with you next week. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I know, guys. Once again, apologize for the video feed. At least you can see Brandie, hear Brandie, and can hear me as well. I don't even know how to turn on Super Chat. I'm still new to all this. So whatever donations you have towards Wi-Fi, I need to be connected directly to the internet and not through Wi-Fi. That's the issue. But so appreciate you guys in the chat. This was definitely the most fun we've had in the chat the last 2 weeks. Shout out Durag Elgo last week for keeping it real in the chat all night, and for all of you guys being here, Nash, Kyle, Hook'em Casino, Ingrid earlier, all you guys that have been in here. It's been fun. Channel's been a lot of fun lately, and it is growing, and so a lot of that is because of you guys. Big thanks to you, Nash. Appreciate you doing all the pregame, postgame stuff. But hey, Brandie, before we get out of here, we've got to talk about Texas a little bit. What are your thoughts on the Horns and Dogs?
Man, I like Texas, honestly. I don't know if I'll bet on this game because 3.5 kind of feels like a little bit of a long line in such like a big, impactful game. But I don't know. I just am not impressed with this Georgia defense this year. I will say I feel like their offense has gotten like a little bit better lately. Carson Beck has looked better since the Bama game. I don't know if they're just not showing their cards or if they like truly have taken a little bit of a step back. And I think it's the latter. I think they've taken a little bit of a step back from last year. But Kirby Smart's still such a great coach. So is Sarkisian. I think the talent levels are pretty similar on both sides of the ball. This is going to be the best offense Texas has faced this year. And I know it's not saying much because Georgia's offense they're not like crazy good, but they're still a pretty decent offense. And I think this is going to be the best one Texas has faced this year. So I'm curious to see how they do against that. I don't know. This one is a really hard game to pick. The big ones usually always are. But I'm excited to see this game. I think it's going to be a really good back and forth. I wouldn't be surprised if it's kind of a little bit lower scoring.
Yeah, that's what I kind of thinking too. People were wanting to predict kind of high scoring. I've seen scores, 34, 30, 35, 27. I expect a lower scoring game. I think that Kirby will have a good plan. I'm not saying that it will work for 4 quarters, but we have started slow on offense several times. Then again, big game Quinn has been a thing. He seems to always turn it on at some point. So, I mean, I do like Texas as far as coming out ahead in this game. I think 5 points is starting to stretch for me. I don't know if I would take it at 5. I mean, it's tough for me. If I could have got it at 3, I would have loved to have taken it at 3 is all I'll say. But if I was taking a play in this game, I would lean the under. Possessions are going to be so very important. Taking care of the football, so very important, which Texas has not done. When's the last turnover-free game that we've had? Feels like a while ago. I don't know if it was UTSA or Michigan, but yeah. So I like Texas to cover. If you can somehow, if there's a late push for Georgia, some late money comes in on the Dogs, and you can get it 3, maybe 3.5. I do think Kirby Smart and the Bulldogs show up. We see a pretty dang good game. I would say under is the first play I would make on it. Texas would be the second one, and then probably Georgia in the over. I do think we see a little bit lower scoring of a game, which is kind of been typical of Texas games this year, playing really, really good defense, doing what we have to do on offense, and then getting ready for the next week. And, that's what I think on it. I'll have my official score prediction out tomorrow. I still haven't decided. It's a tough game.
I'm looking forward to your score prediction.
Yeah, we'll see. yeah, so Texas, Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee definitely have a lot of fun games to follow this weekend. But yeah, we've got our 10 plays. We're going to read them off one more time. Try to kind of go ahead and over again, just in case people did have to get out of here. So, Brandie, real quick before we let everyone go, please read off your 5 plays for the week and your leans.
Yep, my 5 official plays are Army minus 15.5, USF minus 13.5, Colorado plus 3.5, Arizona State plus 5.5, and Texas Tech minus 6.5. And my lean is Florida plus 1.5.
5 official plays that we count towards the standings plus the 1 lean. And I'll say this, we've been really hot on our leans. We keep winning our leans, and I'm like, I wish I could add that to my total, but can't do it. And then for myself, UCLA plus 5 on the road in Piscataway, Jersey, West Virginia plus 3 at home, Colorado, Arizona over 58. I think we see a shootout in the desert. Texas A&M minus 50, Mississippi State and Jeff Lebby. And then Illinois plus 3.5. Don't let me down, Illinois. We're circling back to you after you embarrassed us last week. We're riding it again. Come on, fighting Illini. Anything else before you get out of here, Miss Brandie?
The only thing I gotta say is, I haven't, and I won't ever give out a bet on my team. 1, we suck this year, so there's no reason to bet on my team. And 2, I just don't think that's fair. But I will say Auburn's an underdog on the road against Missouri this week, and I have a feeling coming off the bye that we might make a little bit of noise this weekend. So take that as you will.
My natural inclination is to think that Auburn goes in there and plays a really good game. Now, I'm glad that you said it, so that it's more than just like a gut feeling. It has been bad. Obviously, I don't want to sit here on my co-host team. Struggles.
Look, you can hate that. I get it. We've been bad. I've hated on my own team. So, look, I've hated on my own team, but I think that we cleaned it up a little bit this week from a turnover perspective, and we play competitive football. Our defense has really not been that bad. It's just our offense just gives the game away. So, yeah. Not saying bet on Auburn, but I'm saying if you're looking for a team to add to your card, maybe look into that Auburn-Missouri matchup this weekend.
Brandie, like chicken Alfredo for like 30 random Texas fans.
That would be incredible. I wish I had like a massive house so I could host like literally everybody, but Eddie's bringing his dog with him. Reagan's flying in. Like, we're just going to have a party. Ghosts hopefully
you
flying
have a dog.
in too. Like, I have a dog too. Yeah. And I have like a 500, like 1 bedroom, 1 bath condo. Like, I was telling Eddie and Reagan, I was like, I'm going to go purchase an air mattress this weekend and just put it in my kitchen in case like we need it for anybody else. Like, I don't know. I was like, this is going to be a really fun weekend. I'm excited. And I'm happy to see that it's not like an early game. I think the mid-afternoon slot's like perfect. And the weather, at least as of right now, is supposed to be like high 50s, mid 70s. So should be really, really good weather.
I like that. That sounds good. It is not feel like here. It hasn't recently until today. A little bit of a cold front has come in. It was much needed. Much needed. Nash with the dynamite there. I've seen you in that man. Maybe that's where it derives from. You really are Peter Parker or Nash. But yeah, guys, fun for being here. Please go like the video. She deserves it. She's killing it on this channel. Number 1 in the pick'em, 14-10 overall. I am 15-10 overall here on the channel, but unfortunately not number 1 in our pick'em. I did finally crack the top 10. I'm up to number 8 after a disaster.
I'm like barely hanging on first. So
what happens is you stay in first, and then positions like 2 through 56 change every week, and it's like, oh, this guy's only 6 games behind you, and then he falls back into the pecking order, and then this guy makes a charge, and you're just being consistent. You're putting out the 14 or 15 wins every week, and that's all you need to do. But yeah, Brandie is an incredible co-host, guys. Go like this video for her. Thanks for all the love you guys have shown the channel this week. If you're a Texas fan in here, we had 2 sets of parents on today. We had Peter Taft, Michael Taft's dad, a very, very fun 20 to 25 minute interview with him, and then we had Jake Majors, the starting center at Texas. Both of his parents came on. That was a lot of fun. Brent Majors, Papa Majors. You tell he wants Texas to run the football a little more. So I hope Sarkisian does that for him. Of course, when you have an O lineman on the team, you like run that damn ball a little more, please. But a really good time with him. Y'all check that out. And then Friday, I know he's not still in here anymore, but Friday we have the Billy Lucci versus Amanda Atwell showdown. That is happening now at 3 o'clock. We've pivoted from 2 to 3. But yeah, just a big thank you, guys. It means a lot that y'all have helped out, all the things y'all are doing, everybody here in the comments. And thank you, Brandie. Well, all right, guys. Y'all have a good one. We'll say catch y'all next Wednesday, most likely. Wednesday or Thursday. But good luck this week.